The von Zuckerhoff, which is the Schlieffen clone. So
The replay file literally calls it Pinata Schlieffen.
yeah,
Or Party Schlieffen, something like that.
I guess I'll call it von Zuckerhoff anyways. But she is one of the ships in the current Lunar New Year event. Wargaming cloned a bunch of ships, both premium and tech tree, and even a couple special ships. And in the course of the event, you can choose them. I did a Zat chat on it recently, and I said to people that if you are a PvE main, if you play operations a lot and that sort of thing, the Schlieffen would be a really good choice for you. So, you know, the Schlieffen, of course, really good secondaries, good torpedoes, good main battery. A couple of weaknesses is going to, yeah, I was trying to stay away from that, Cthulhu. She's got a fast damage control team. Now, there's pros and cons to this. The pro, of course, is it cycles through quickly, so you can use it again. The con is you only have a limited number of them, and once they're gone, you take full duration fires, floods, whatever. So you have to be really good at managing that consumable. All right. Here's a shout out for Cthulhu, by the way, because I almost always forget to shout Cthulhu out. Who also
A habit I
is streaming too.
Since one of my first tier 10s was the Gremlin. A habit I got while I was grinding that line was I pretty much hold my DCP, and I burned through most of my heals before I even burned through a DCP.
Yeah, because you're so afraid to run out of DCP, so
like,
it's really difficult.
I want to see the DCP. I was like, I need this now. Like, so if it's a single fire, I was like, yeah, I'll let it burn.
Right. Right. The ship using, so it's designed to look like a bunch of posters. We'll take a look at the ship itself when we get into the game here, but let's start with the build here. You've got main armaments mod 1, damage control, secondary battery, damage control 2, concealment, and then finally aux mod 2. Now, when you build this, are you building for operations specifically, or are you building for randoms and then just taking it into ops?
Most of my builds, I do build for randoms and just take it to ops, just in case I ever do play random, so I don't have to like swap the build,
right,
and all that.
No, I mean, and that's an important question because that informs, you know, everything else beyond. So, okay. Personal opinion here, this ship is one of those rarities where you could really choose either main armaments, mostly to keep the torpedoes alive, or you go for the auxiliary armaments to keep the secondaries alive. In my opinion, I like auxiliary armaments better, just because even though these will grow back now, I find that the Schlieffen, especially, you're typically doing about the same amount of damage with your secondaries as your primaries. You could get the DCP mod as well. Yes, you could get the DCP mod. Let's see.
The main armaments mod, because the armor on the turrets is actually really thin for a battle cruiser.
Yeah.
I feel like the turrets get knocked out way too frequently, and like the torps always getting knocked out right when you need them as well. It's like, are we serious?
Yeah, at least they grow back. But yeah, I mean, the thing about the Schlieffen I find is that a lot of times the torpedoes, when they do get knocked out, it's early in the engagement, and then when you need them, they're either reloading or they're back. But again, this comes down to what your experience is, you know, and you go based off of that. I would recommend, though, at the end of your post-battle results, take a look at your damage that you're doing. And that should really inform you. If you're doing more damage with auxiliary armaments, even with putting into main armaments mod 1, you might want to, you know, buff your secondaries instead. So it's worth looking into it for data purposes. In slot 2, I mean, yeah, damage control is fine. Hydro mod is superior, but if you don't have the coal or whatever, then, you know, fine.
I burnt all my coal on getting the Schlieffen and Petro clone.
Right,
and so I'm broke right now.
And that's perfectly fine. For the longest time, players have said to Wargaming, where are all the coal ships? I got nothing to do with my coal. And then they release a whole bunch of coal stuff at once. And everybody's like, oh my god, I don't have coal anymore. I wonder, how did that work out?
I mean, I'm happy to finally spend the coal.
I know, right? Seriously, that's how I look at it too. Everything else makes sense here. Slot 5, you could do nah, I think concealment is fine. And then for your Captain's Guild, you've got Lutjens. Lutjens, you've got your talents, right? So you've got your secondary battery reload time. If you hit 100 times with secondaries, that will definitely happen in this game. If you hit enemy ships with 140 main battery hits, you get a buff to main battery reload time. That's a possibility for this battle. And then if you spot somebody, where is it? Down here. If you spot somebody 3 times, you do get a slow tick heal. Now, the nice thing about this is if you're at the front of the pack, this can absolutely help you. But if you're at the front of the pack, you're also probably being farmed down. So you have to really kind of...
In operations, you really don't want to be front of the pack.
Exactly. So it doesn't... Let me put it this way. It's a nice talent, just you're probably not going to use it much.
Especially on this one. The bots will absolutely melt you alive if you're the first one spotted here.
Yep. See you later, Gandalf. Thanks for hanging out. You do have a couple buff skills as well, preventative maintenance and grease the gears. I do like that you took preventative maintenance. Even though things grow back now, I still want to reduce the risk that they become incapacitated. So I do like this skill. And then you did IFHE, secondary range, manual secondaries, adrenaline rush. And then the problem when you go manual secondaries is you have to choose 2 of the 3 here. All 3 of these are good. You have to choose 2 of them. For a random battle, concealment makes perfect sense for your build. That gets you down to essentially the same range as your secondaries. So actually your secondaries, I think, are just slightly ahead of base. But the point is, if you're spotted... I think
it's ahead by 0.1.
Yeah, if you're spotted, your secondaries are shooting too. In a random battle setup, this is good. For a PvE specific build, I would change that to fire prevention.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could do that with the old Schlieffen now, because I have both Schlieffens.
That's right. You can build one for PvP and one for PvE if you want. Also for
my old Schlieffen, the old Schlieffen I have auxiliary armaments mod 1 and I have propulsion.
You can do propulsion in slot 4, yeah. Propulsion in slot 4 comes in handy if you're playing PvP, like randoms or ranked, when you decide you're just going to go. You know, you hit 4W and that's it.
Especially if you see torpedoes. Like if you're stopped in a spot holding and then you see torpedoes with the hydro, you got to get moving.
That's correct. That's correct. So yeah, you could definitely get away with doing that. If you're playing ops, though, I understand damage control, which is why I didn't really comment too much on that. The only other thing to mention, there's a lot of debate about IFHE or no IFHE on Schlieffen and the Schlieffen line. IFHE on this line is important because it does get your 105mm guns to that magical 32mm of pen. Now, when you're playing in operations, depending on the op, that won't matter, right? This operation, for example, I don't think it matters. 26 is probably enough for just about everything.
This one depends on what spawns you get. Because sometimes you get like 3 Musashis, 2 Heisens in the first 2 waves, or sometimes you just get all cruisers.
Right, right,
so
and that's what I mean.
It ultimately matters if what the game decides you're fighting.
Exactly. So I just wanted to highlight that for a moment for you guys all to think about. Exactly was my next statement. Right, Hujam. Asymmetrics are typically facing down tier targets by 2 or 3 tiers. So IFHE, not so important in asymmetrics. Okay, so keep that in mind. And in that case, if you're going to drop IFHE, especially Lutjens, I'd go grease the gears because that rear turret, one of those rear turrets is 360 and the other one is not, if I recall correctly. So
correct. The X turret in the ABXY is not 360.
Right.
The Y turret is.
Having the grease the gears is helpful. Alternately, other choices besides IFHE. The other one I would highly recommend in Schlieffen would be Vigilance because it stacks well with Hydro for detecting torpedoes, which then, of course, allows you to dodge them better. Or if you do take a torpedo hit on the torpedo belt, you take 7% less damage. Priority target is a good choice, too, because you want to know who's targeting you. So that's a good choice. And then Hujam suggests the 2-point skill for AA defense because this gives you the 40% to ship consumable prep and reload time skill, which is very handy, especially in randoms and ranked, cycling your heal and your DCP and your hydro. So the nice thing is lots of options at the 2-point skill. So similarly to how I said to Pockington, take a look at your results post-battle. If you really aren't sure if you want IFHE or not, play a few games with IFHE and then play a few games without it. Screenshot your post-battle results screens and look at how much damage your secondaries have done with IFHE and without.
From my personal experience, just the rate of fire these secondaries have, the reduced fire chance doesn't really hurt it with IFHE.
Right. Right. And that's true because
the rate of fire is just insane on these.
Right. The 105s, I mean, a lot of people will look and say, oh, but the 150s already pen, 32 mil without. That's true, but they don't fire anywhere near as fast as the 105s do.
Yeah, they have a 4.9 second reload. I'm looking here in port, and the 105s have a 2.2. It's almost double.
So, really the 105s is where the vast majority of your damage is coming through, okay? So, decide which of these two, matters for you most, and then go from that,
Because I mean, look on there on Shipbuilder.
Mm-hmm.
Almost isn't that a million DPM potential DPM right there out of the secondaries with 43 fires per minute, but without IFHE. But even the 24 fires per minute with IFHE is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going.
Your
secondaries are pretty much only going to be shooting one target at a time.
Right.
You only have 2 targets on both sides, so you're not. And what's the max size you can set on the buy is 4 fires, anyways.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
so
you're
really
going.
Don't need the full 40 fires per minute.
The thing about fires per minute, the way I look at fires, some people say, well, that's great for, forcing enemies to DCP and then you get them on fire again, or your teammates get them on fire. And it's like, well, you're assuming your teammates are paying attention and shooting the things you're shooting, first of all. And second of all, once an enemy's on 4 fires, you ain't getting any more fires on them anyway. So, it really just comes down to, do you want your secondaries to absolutely chew into stuff or not? That's all. As far as your signals are concerned, you've got HP boosts, speed boosts, heal boosting, and secondary boosting. Yeah, you're trying to conserve on flags, right?
Keep forgetting about the ramming flag, even though it's so cheap.
Yeah, I mean, ramming would be a good choice, always. All right, let's get into your replay then. Let's see how the battle plays out.
Would have helped me in that one live game the other day, where the damn bot spawned on top of me in the Zuckerhoff.
So you are by yourself. You've got a Hanover friend. Okay. You somehow lived, letting 4 fires burn so that you don't get set on fire again. That's kind of funny. That's like you fools. You haven't even seen my final form yet. Okay, now, in this op, for those who don't know, gearing will smoke as soon as, basically as soon as they spot enemies. So you can throw yourself in that smoke and shoot on occasion if you want. That's what most people do with secondary battleships. You were under HE spam, you knew what would happen if you DCP'd. Exactly. So, let's take a look at the camo. The camo, I think, is amazing, right? It's not armored with post-it notes, but it looks like it.
Something I noticed with this one, if your buff has speed, it's hard to see. Or actually, you can see it right now. At the start of the ship, you can see like little confetti falling into the water.
In the stern of the ship?
Left behind. Yeah, look at the stern. You see like
the
water.
Yeah, that's cool.
It just leaves water. It leaves confetti behind in the water.
I didn't notice that.
You're viewing from front on. It's not visible. It only is viewable if you're viewing from the back half of the ship.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, it's a trail of post-it notes, exactly. Camo can be a visual weapon, yes. All right, well, you've got a Zao you can play with, I suppose. So the Heathen's gonna have a buff. Now, notice he's not shooting here because he's in the smoke. If he shoots, he's gonna be detected, but you did just slip out of the smoke, so you might as well shoot now.
I'm also seeing the replay bug still there, where if you click on a secondary, it doesn't show that it's targeted.
Yeah, I know you're definitely clicking on something. Ooh, I should mention that to Wargaming.
I'm pretty sure you can hover over the buff and it'll tell you like it's at 50% or something, or climbing. So you can still tell it's active. This is what I mean. You get spotted and the bot's just want to rip you apart.
Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff gesunken.
Aegis, aka the max damage operation. Well, we did see that. We did see that with Nusperkek's Surkoof game, which, by the way, did get posted.
I had a 952 Siberia game on this before.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was
always
outside
control.
of flagships.
You always click the nearest target. No, it doesn't always help. It forces you yeah. I mean, it does help. It actually does help, Cthulhu, because you want to make sure that secondaries that could choose between two targets will shoot the one that you care about most. Hanover just doing Hanover things.
Yeah, I recognize the Hanover from Sone's stream. He's a viewer.
Yeah, he's in DATF, so I figured that's one of Sone's viewers.
And so I felt pretty confident here that once I saw him push in, I was like, yeah, I should be able to push in.
Awesome. Now you could go.
I just not realized what the Yoshino is doing on my team. I did not see that when I played the game.
Oh yeah, going up the 2 line, yeah. Yeah, that sacrifices a lot of damage early on to try to get into position to hit stuff and not get hit back. I was gonna mention you could go north, but nobody else really is, so that means you get to deal with all that hate from the Musashis and Yoshinos, so ouch.
And I'm about to start receiving some of it because I'm beached here.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, it does. So basically, Cthulhu, yeah, if you click on something, you're basically telling your secondary gunners, shoot this target if you can. Before they let super ships into ops, you would take Schlieffen straight north and take all those ships out by yourself. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. You can absolutely do that.
Super ship ops are a bit more risky, just because I feel like their damage is boosted. So I don't think a Rugamo torpedo is supposed to do 30,000 damage under normal circumstances.
Hey, fireworks. And somebody just followed Dr. Vokulin. Thanks for the follow. Welcome on in. Happy Friday. I'm just gonna check something here. Aha, okay. I love how it says primary task is to destroy the convoy, because you're supposed to protect the convoy after you destroy the escorting ships for the convoy.
Well, here, I'm just racing and trying to get the Musashi's broadside.
Yep, and that's where, you know, that buff turret traverse could have helped you get your guns on target a little bit sooner. Surprised you're not going to try to use that rear turret right now.
I don't want to risk the rear turret poking my broadside.
True. Yes. Wolfie, once bots spawn in, they do need to load torpedoes. The difficulty, though...
Unless they have torpedo reload booster.
Exactly.
Then they pop it immediately.
If they have torpedo reload booster, they will use that skill, or that consumable, immediately. Now, against these convoying ships, they rarely ever change course. So you can absolutely just white line torp them.
The only time they change course is if they somehow beach, or if they you disable their engines.
Nice Citadel on the Zao. Yeah, that's right, Cthulhu. It always happens to be whenever it's least convenient. Because the thing is, you know, when they spawn, their torpedoes start up, but they don't necessarily get spotted right away when they spawn. Nice kill there with 3 Citadels. Bots in co-op sometimes, and spawn and immediately use all the yeah. Now, if you didn't beach here, you could have possibly flipped and used your other torpedoes.
Yeah, but from here, I was thinking I want to go fight the battleships that are going to spawn.
Right. Well, and especially
we're thinking that we sunk the convoy so early that it might be a problem for the second half.
And especially considering Yoshino has decided to nope out of the area that he was going up. So, okay. Yes, Italian bots will, and that's so annoying to deal with Italian destroyers with that fuel smoke. And cruisers and battleships for that matter, but mostly the destroyers.
New American destroyers just pop their smoke, and if you turn away, they're just gone for like 3 minutes.
Yep. All right, so what's going to spawn next is going to be 2 battleships up to the north. Actually, see, there's that spot getting you that heal. Perfect timing for you. Oh, that's a good idea, Cthulhu. I didn't think about that. Yeah, if you're playing carrier, you go spot them right away so they pop their smoke at an inopportune time.
Unfortunately, in ASIMs, but I noticed like the cruisers, they'll pop their smoke until they've taken damage.
Hmm. Now, I might dump my torpedoes and then flip sides here. Are we listening to Civ 6 music? It sounds like we are.
Yeah, I was just keeping an eye on the Yamato, make sure he wasn't looking at me. So I've had it happen before where I'm crossing up to these battleships. What used to be a Curfers will just cross-map me.
Mm-hmm. It is Conan, I see that, but it sounds very much like Civ 6. I'm serious, it sounds like a tune from the Civ 6 soundtrack.
You're very lucky to not eat a bunch of damage from the bungo there.
Yeah. I don't know that I would torp right on the white line, because I think these ships usually do turn a bit.
They do, but I wanted to bait it to slow down, because of my first launch torps, because the first launch was not white line.
Okay.
That was unlock drop.
Hmm.
I do tend to do that with ships that have multiple torps.
So you purposely do the white line so that the ship will slow down to dodge the ones you fired second.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you look at that, it did slow down, and now it's gonna eat the first set.
Well, it's gonna eat some of the second too, looks like. Yeah. Nice. Well, 717,000 damage. And he's not done yet.
As you can see, like I was mentioned earlier, I still have 4 heals. Not 4 heals, but 4 DCPs.
Mm-hmm.
I just hold on to them. I hoard them, I guess.
Bomb, I'm excited no matter what. I'm excited you guys signed up for the tournament. I'm excited you guys spent so much time practicing and just hanging out together. Even in informal training sessions, essentially, just doing divs and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how things work out. Team League is by far my favorite tournament. And tomorrow's my birthday, so I mean, it's even better. Look at your secondaries go. Look at that. Thank you, Cthulhu. Now, you could heal here, but you're better off not, so that you can get your adrenaline rush going crazy, right? Thank you, Jelani. Yeah. And thank you, Wolfie.
I think with the adrenaline rush right now, the reload on the secondary is like 1.5 seconds, so you can just see the absolute rainbow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you got 750,000 damage there with 1,123 secondary hits. Jeez. Look, you got your C-star.
And 12 fires, even with IFHE.
Right. Now let's take a look at your team score. Oh, look, you beat the Hanover. That's nifty.
The one I was more shocked about was Major Contribution, because I find that to be one of the harder ones to get.
Isn't that basically the same idea as a high caliber?
Except you gotta do more than 1/3 of the enemies of their team's total damage.
Yeah.
So kind of like a high caliber, yeah. You just
Right.
gotta do. It's just hard to do because if people bring in a bunch of damage farming boats, like we had a Bremen in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that Bremen probably farmed. I wouldn't have been able to get the achievement.
Right. Now, in this game, if you remember, I was talking about deciding in slot 1 what's more important to you. So if you look at it in this game, you didn't have anything but 3 anti-air guns incapacitated. So your main guns weren't incapacitated, and your secondaries weren't incapacitated either. Or your torpedoes, which I find is very interesting and kind of unusual.
And both the main both main battery and torpedoes did an equal amount of damage with like the secondaries and the fires included because they didn't shoot AT.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when you look at this, you want to count up the damage from your fires, and you add that to your secondary battery damage, and then you want to count up your floods, and then you add that to your main battery and your torpedo damage. So if you add all these together, your torpedoes and main battery have done more damage than your secondaries and your fires combined. So in that case, then yes, you would want to make sure that your main battery stays alive. Makes sense.
Torps are just useful for zoning in operations since the bots typically follow the same line.
Right.
So you can just throw them out there and you will most of the times hit something. Like, I don't know if you noticed when I was in the smoke at the start, I threw them at the Musashi and ended up hitting the Yoshino.
Yeah. Just throw them whatever. You're doing Bokako. So what title can we put for this one? I was thinking
Secondary party.
Secondary party could work. I was thinking like Death by Post-it.
Post-it note, death, yeah.
Rest of you guys in chat, what do you think?
You literally call it damage pinata.
Damage pinata.
It's a pinata and it's farming damage.
It's almost like a reverse pinata though, right? Instead of everybody hitting you, you're hitting everybody. So
Pinata fights back. Pinata's revenge, there you go.
Pinata's Revenge. Or Revenge of the Pinata. Okay. I underline that one. I like that title. Pinata's Revenge. Fox, thanks for sending the replay in, and this was fun to look at.
Pleasure.